Yeah, good meeting with Derek. Really have a lot of respect for him as what he's accomplished in his career, the kind of player he is, the kind of person he is. Just see is this the right fit? Is this an answer? And I think, part of that is, yeah, this is a good option, but we have to look it through. We're looking at all options. This is the time of year that we do that. We were excited about that meeting, and it was a good meeting, and we'll take it day by day.
There was a report that Dave Tepper was in the room. Why is it important to you that the owner is involved in these type of quarterback discussions?
I mean, he's got a unique perspective, and both he and Nicole were in there, obviously along with Scott, Dan, and Samir. That's our leadership team. We're doing this together. Obviously, as the head coach, you have a certain role in it, and you play that role. But it's a collaborative effort to make a big decision on who's going to be our quarterback. So, I think it was a very good meeting.
How do you weigh the value of bringing in maybe a veteran quarterback versus drafting a prospect?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one that we're talking a lot about right now. There's the value of the veteran and the leadership and the proven commodity and all that kind of stuff. And how does that fit with the team in the locker room? What's versus taking a young guy and doing something in the draft and building it from there. Those are all things that need to be discussed. There are intangibles and there are tangible. There's things that you can quantify, things that you can't quantify. So we work together to talk through those things.
How do you like this quarterback draft class?
It looks great. I mean, we met with several of them today, a bunch of them today. Very talented, I would say, very smart. Just having a chance to, talk ball with these guys, guys who are very accomplished, guys who all seem to process very quickly. Yeah, it's a good group.
Were you able to share that Derek Carr made him a good option? You described the meeting with Derek Carr last night. What did you see from him that made him a good option?
I mean, Derek is an excellent leader. He's an excellent passer. He's very accomplished. You look at the fit, how does it fit with our team and our locker room? It checks a lot. He checks a lot of boxes that you're looking for in a quarterback. There's no question, and that's why he is where he is at this point in his career. And the opportunity. It's a unique opportunity to talk to someone of that caliber as a player and as a person. So we didn't take that for granted.
There's a lot of conversation about the quarterback position. Matt Corral's in-house already. Were you able to look at Matt Corral in the prior year coming in, or have you had communication with him since you got to Carolina?
A little bit of communication with all the guys on the roster. Yeah, excited. I'm excited about the guys that are currently on the roster. As a coach coming in, that's really where it starts. You want to dive into your guys first, and then look from there. So everybody kind of, it's the NFL, right? It's highly competitive. Everybody gets an opportunity, and you got to make the most of it.
Can you tell us your thoughts on the running backs? Like you got to watch Chuba Hubbard, and I guess Deontay Foreman said to be free, but maybe your thoughts on him if you got to see any of them.
Yeah, both Deontay and Chuba, obviously love both of them. That's for me coming in. Step one, let's look at the guys we got on our team. Obviously, Deontay finished the year so super strong. Him and the offensive line. Chuba is a very talented back. I've had some communication with him as well. So, but you're always looking to continue to build and see where your roster goes.
You said you met with a few quarterbacks. Can you share which quarterbacks you met with and how those meetings went?
I think we met with 5 of them today. I don't want to go through each of the names, but we did meet with 5 of them. I think 5 today, and I thought all the meetings went very well.
Frank, given that the NFC South looks to be in flux, and there's an opportunity for you and for a lot of teams, would that make you more willing to go get a Derek Carr type guy rather than drafting?
I don't think you can make that decision, based on the status of the division right now. This is whatever decision we make is, what is best, not just for this year, but you're looking on a horizon. Obviously, if you draft a guy, you're looking on a very long-term horizon. If you go free agent, if we go Derek Carr, I mean, the nice thing with Derek is, he's going to be 32 years old, so it's kind of prime quarterback years. So there's still a good 5-year window. There's still a good 5-year window there. So Sure, we're like every team. We want to win the division next year, but you really have to look beyond that as well.
With signing a veteran, does that mean that you will not draft a quarterback, or is that still kind of?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think all options would be on the table. I think all options would be on the table. We're going to do what we think is best for our team, both in the near term and the long term.
Frank, with quarterbacks, whether it's this class or the last 10 years, is there any common denominator why a good percentage don't make it?
It's tough work, right? We all know that it's the hardest position in sports to play. You're so dependent. There's so many factors that go into good quarterback play, tangible and intangible qualities. Some can be measured, some can't. So, and then sometimes, depends on the circumstances that you find yourself in, and you don't get as long a windows to prove yourself anymore. So that's what makes it great, though. That's why you love evaluating and playing the quarterback position, because it is the biggest challenge.
Frank, when you're evaluating young quarterbacks, how do you prioritize and balance processing and accuracy and those kind of things, then with the athleticism and what you can do out of the pocket, all those traits?
Yeah, that's why this is both an art and a science. So, I like to say, if there's 10 things to evaluate, how much, really the question, and this differs from club to club, person to person, even within the club, how much weight do you put on, if there's 10 categories, how do you weight category one? How do you weight? It's a sliding scale. You have to be careful not to put too much weight on one category, but you have to decide as an evaluator, what are the heaviest weighted categories, and how does that fit with what you want to do schematically and philosophically as an offense? So that's a fun part of it, and a lot of that is done in a collaborative effort. With Scott, Fitter, our GM, Mr. Tepper, talking through those dynamics. I find that when you collaborate on it, it's like a good checks and balance system to make sure we're all thinking the same thing on the long term.
Frank, I know it's maybe a little surreal to be back here. It's still good feelings back in Indianapolis.
Oh, great feelings to be back in Indy, in so many ways. Just walking through Lucas Oil and seeing the workers here and people here. That's one of the great things about the NFL. You meet a lot of great people, workers, media, everywhere. It's great. And so this is a unique time, right, where everybody gets together. So, but looking forward to the work that we are doing here and evaluating these college players and building this roster to do something special.
With the quarterback position in flux, why was the Carolina job the job for you?
I mean, there's so many reasons, right? There's so many reasons. Mainly, it was the right fit. You get fired, you don't know if you're going to get a chance again, right? This year or any year. So you don't take anything for granted. So it probably worked out well for me that I had a chance to kind of regroup and, got the opportunity to interview with Carolina and with another team. And I thought those went well. And obviously I felt like from the time I walked into Mr. Tepper's house, there was an instant connection with he and his wife, Nicole, with Scott Fitter, with Dan Morgan, Samir, the whole leadership team, Christy Coleman, the team president. I just felt like there was a genuine connection. The whole interview didn't seem like an interview. It seemed like a conversation. It seemed like us already working together, even though that process went for a couple weeks in a second interview, and you don't know until the very end. But it felt easy. It didn't feel forced, and it felt natural.
Is there a quarterback in this class that you feel like can step right in and be a starter?
That's what we're evaluating right now. I mean, I think a lot of these guys are very talented, smart, have a lot of the qualities, but we'll continue to make that evaluation.
Frank, what's your early thoughts on the defense? I feel like it's very undervalued. I mean, guys like Jeremy Ching, guys like Brian Burns. What's your early thoughts, and also, the past couple of years, what were your thoughts on you as a young starter?
Super excited about our defense. I mean, a big part of the formula, right, is you want to build a top-level defense. We have many of those pieces. Up front, you got Brian Burns, Derek Brown, to start. I don't want to start naming everybody, but those are two blue chip players right there, and it starts up front. So excited about them, excited about our whole defense. I'm excited to have Ajero Evero as our defensive coordinator and the staff that we've put together to really build a scheme that can take advantage of what our defense does well. And I really see that as being a real centerpiece to our team in this coming year.
In your evaluation, you mentioned having quarterback options. One of those options possibly moving up, and how you weigh just how much you're willing to give up if you choose to move.
Yeah, I mean, every option is on the table at this point. Every option, you know, moving up, moving back, signing a free agent. Every option is on the table. I mean, it has to be. You have to, you know, this is a huge decision. And it would be malpractice not to really vet through every one of those decisions. What's the impact? What are the unintended consequences? You have to think through all that, and that's where we're at right now.
In your evaluation, what makes Bryce Young such a great quarterback prospect in this draft?
You know, highly intelligent, very fast processor, very poised, accurate passer, you know, playmaker. Yeah, he checks a lot of boxes. I mean, he, you know, no moment's too big for him. Very good player. Seems like a great young man. Very impressive.
Is the size ever a concern for a quarterback in this league, being as physical as it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, yes, it is a concern, but is it something that, you know, no, look at Drew Brees, right? I mean, we look at Russell Wilson. So are there very many quarterbacks his size that are, you know, high picks? No, they're not, but there are exceptions to that, and there's good reasons that there's exceptions to that. And listen, everything I've seen, every positive thing that's been said about Bryce Young, he's earned and seems warranted. And I think the discussion of where he's at and how everyone is viewing him right now is very warranted. He's earned that. He's earned that right by how he's played, how he's handled all the success that he's had, and he's an impressive young man.
Right, you selected a lot of really sharp and notable quarterback teachers on the staff. When you look at that, how much will that weigh into potentially selecting a player who might need a long-term learning process actually?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the things sitting down with Mr. Tepper early on that we just were committed to do. You know, we were going to commit to doing whatever it took to hire the best staff that we could. And you know, he stood behind me on that. He gave us the money we needed to sign some of the coaches that we needed to sign. Obviously getting the right, you know, talk about quarterback coach, you know, you get Josh McCown, 17 years. Josh and I have been talking about this for a little bit, so very excited to get him. I'm very excited to get Parks Frazier as our pass game coordinator. I mean, I just think he's an incredibly bright young mind. His future is very bright. And then Thomas Brown as our offensive coordinator. You know, through the interview process, Thomas he blew us all away. I mean, he's a guy I really hadn't much exposure to, but talking to him, he's the kind of leader and the kind of mind that I think is really going to set up well for our quarterback.
Did you seek out advice from other coaches on their second tenure as a different team with Doug Peterson? And if so, what kind of advice did they give you on the second time?
Did talk to a lot of guys. You know, yeah, talked to Doug quite a bit. You know, and you can't force it. I mean, basically it's like, hey, just live in the moment, get yourself ready. We as coaches, we know the profession we live in. You don't know you're going to get that second chance, but when you do, like with Doug, you feel prepared for it. Like I know walking into this job, I was interviewed the other day on something and asked a question. I don't want to say it feels easy, but it just feels more natural. You know, walking in the second time around, having a clearer vision, not being so overwhelmed when you get that first job as a head coach. It can be a little bit overwhelming at first. It's, you know, as they say, drinking water out of a fire hose. It didn't feel like that to me this time around. So yeah, I think that's.
Coach Reich, when you evaluate quarterbacks, Bill Walsh used to say you would start feet first. Some people start with looking with their eyes. Where do you start in evaluating a quarterback?
It's a complete evaluation. Yes, you play the game from the ground up, so the footwork is incredibly important. But you know, it's top to bottom and left to right, and every way in between. It's the tangibles, it's intangibles, it's everything, and that's what's so great about this week and this process and the ongoing process of 30 visits and getting Zoom calls with guys. You exhaust that process of evaluation.
Frank, how would Will Levis potentially fit what you want to do offensively?
Yeah, Will's another one of those young guys who's super talented. Obviously, he's got, you know, the big arm, big size. You know, has good experience. Has done a lot. You know, had unique circumstances, changed coordinators, right? You know, playing at Kentucky. So the dynamics of that, how do you factor all that in? What does that all mean? And that's different to every club, every evaluator, but certainly, Will's another one of those guys who's earned the right to be talked about as one of these top quarterbacks in the draft.
When it comes to your draft philosophy,
Two more questions.
when it comes to your draft philosophy, how do you weigh going for need versus best player available?
I mean, you got to get great players. This game is about players, so it's about the player first and about the best players. They're not independent. The need thing isn't independent, but when you can get, as they say, a true difference maker, you get the difference maker, and then you build around those players. So that's the way we'll continue to work it. Obviously, sitting down with Scott Fitter, our GM, excited to be working with him in building this roster and building this team. He and I really see things very similarly as far as how we want to build, philosophically, how we think about this team and where we're at right now.
Frank, how did the unsuccessful quarterback carousel in Indianapolis, how does that shape how you look at the quarterback market, and does it make you maybe more willing to go up and get a guy?
I just think it's better in every way. It's better prepared me. You take the circumstances that you were dealt and the things that you did and that you were part of, and you learn from them, the good and the bad. And there was both of those in that. So, but you learn from those, but then you get to every year, and you have to. Every year is an independent year from the previous. You take that experience from it, and now into a different organization, and you obviously always want stability at quarterback. I think that's a huge lesson learned from me from the last time around. What is our best answer for stability at quarterbacks in the near term and long term future? Okay. Thank you.